wanted to throw this in. Sportsline already has
points?
a projected,
Is that what it is?
16.
Yeah,
Alabama
16
favored
points.
by
That's
16 points right now in that game.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I think when you look at, obviously they're going to rely heavily on some of the younger talent that they just got in this recruiting class to help provide some depth, maybe even some starting value there. But when you're looking at what Alabama's got coming back, granted they always lose some pieces to the NFL, but they seem to reload and they develop. And I think that's one of the things that gets underlooked at or really undermentioned for Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama is overall development. He does as good of a job of anyone of taking a five-star player and making sure he gets to that first round when it's all said and done. Look at the conversion rate for his draft picks and his recruits more than anyone else. So, obviously the reigning Heisman Trophy winner is coming back. He's my favorite player to watch in college football. He's going to be a big part of it, but it's also going to be the other pieces. A guy like Jameer Gibbs, who's coming in out of Georgia Tech, the running back, he's going to be phenomenal, I think, in this system, how they're going to utilize him. So 16 points seems like a lot. Sounds fair to me.
Josh, October the 8th is the date of that game. What's going to transpire between Jimbo and Saban between now and then?
I found it interesting when Jimbo flat out said this morning, he tried to call me. I let it go to voicemail. Like some of the people I despise, I don't even make go to voicemail. I'll just send them really quick. I don't make them hang on there for the 4 or 5 rings. And yet we also hear that, Deion Sanders had no problem picking up the phone with Nick Saban earlier today. So my point is, there's going to be a whole lot of talk. They have to be in the same room less than 2 weeks from now in Destin for the SEC spring meetings, which to me, even though we don't get access to it, will be more must-see than media days because they're not even in Atlanta for media days at the same time. But I'll tell you what stood out to me the most. My first reaction was, I cannot believe Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, has not stepped in behind the scenes and gotten these guys back to their respective corners or at least taken care of things out of public eye. But then the more I think about it, Mike Slive, the former SEC commissioner, whom Greg Sankey learned under, probably would have done that. Greg Sankey, to me, strikes me as a commissioner more so than maybe any of his peers or at any point in the history of this sport that views what his product is as a raw form of entertainment. And sometimes if this stuff has to happen, it's entertainment, and at the end of the day, they're adults. You don't have to treat them as children. It's not a pre-K playground. You just let it be what it ends up being, and they've got to play each other. That's always been my philosophy about folks who run their mouth. As long as you got to play them in the fall, you say whatever you want to in the spring, because it will be settled on the gridiron.
To Josh's point, I think you look at the NFL model, they want to be constantly in the back of your mind, even in the offseason, right? As far as offseason, the draft, and then other news that comes out, and we can talk about that all day. College football with the transfer portal and NIL is starting to kind of venture into that, and especially as the recruiting cycle heats up with the early signing period. So you're getting elements of that, and I think college football is watching the NFL continue to grow, and as college football continues to grow and these TV deals continue to skyrocket and go up, you're seeing more and more people want to say, we can make these kids household names while they're in college to still build off their name, image, and likeness and build up their brand and build up our program as well. So this is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year, watch for everyone, including the spring game and everything else that goes along with it. So it's almost like college football is taking a page out of the NFL's playbook in regards to how we're going to go about handling all these offseason issues.
Yeah, I don't know if the whole NIL, potentially pay-for-play thing, I don't know if that's good for college football and college sports right now. But what's happened this last 24 hours or so, at least it's in our industry, this is great. It's given us fodder. We were going to be talking anyway, but we were going to be talking about other things.
It's great for Pate State.
Absolutely. And the Late Kick podcast, which is coming up a bit later as well.
Look at those hands.
Hey, Pate, I'm a big Pate State Freight fan. Give us a Pate statement for this upcoming season.
All right. Now, I thought long and hard about this. I've looked across the landscape. We have so many new coaches, first year at their jobs. I am ready to predict that a first-year head coach will actually make the playoff. I'm not ready to tell you which one it is because, well, the calendar says May, so I don't want to put myself that far out on the limb. But, I mean, Chris, Brady, like we look around right now, we can go anywhere from Lincoln Riley to Marcus Freeman to Brian Kelly. Dan Lanning at Oregon may actually have one of the best shots of any of them out there, and he's probably a sleeper candidate. We've also got Brent Venables, who is a preseason favorite in the Big 12. Lincoln Riley, ditto, in the Pac-12. So I just can't see a November where all of these guys are out of the picture. If Clemson doesn't resurrect themselves, what about Mario Cristobal with one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC and one of the best overall rosters, even in a down conference? You look on both coasts, Miami, LA, Eugene, in the Heartland, in Norman. I think we very well could see a first-year head coach in the playoff, which, by the way, will ruin this forever. For every new staff in the future, that fan base will point to this data point, if this does happen, and say, what are you talking about a rebuild? What are you talking about 2 years minimum? They came in and did it year one. Why can't we do it? That will be the worst thing to ever happen for future staffs if someone does pull this off.
There's a lot of validity to that last part of what you just said, Josh. The reality is, though, you said it off the top, there are so many first-year head coaches that I can't let you off the hook with a Pate statement like this. I need you to pick at least two. I'm only going to give you two. I know it's May, but this is the time when you make predictions. Like last year when I said Bryce Young was going to win the Heisman after the spring game for Alabama. I need you to come out, take a stance, pick one. Look, I know who I would pick in this case because I think if Lincoln Riley doesn't win the Pac-12 and doesn't get into the college football playoff, to me, it's a failure. Everything that has happened this offseason, getting Lincoln Riley, getting Caleb Williams, all the other players, probably Jordan Addison. Can I announce that now? Because I know he's picking between USC and Texas, but it's going to be Southern Cal. Let's just be honest.
Big surprise, huh?
Okay? I'm saying if he doesn't, that's the one I'd be betting on. And in this case, only because of the entire situation, it's a huge disappointment for Southern Cal with everything that's transpired this offseason.
Pate?
Well, this is a disgusting tactic, but I'm going to go along with it. Okay, so I will appease you. Ironically, I think we look to the softest of the Power 5 conferences right now. I'm going to go to the Pac-12 where you went. I'm thinking about USC and Oregon, so you're giving me two at least. I'm going to take both of them in the Pac-12. I'm going to take either Dan Lanning at Oregon or I'm going to take Lincoln Riley at USC. The thinking there, of course, is maybe they meet in the conference title game. Maybe both of them are legitimate enough. Maybe Bo Nix does pan out as a legitimate, high-caliber transfer quarterback, and maybe USC gets everything they thought they would get out of Caleb Williams, Travis Dye, Mario Williams, all those transfers. At the very least, I give myself two shots late in the year if that happens. Of course, Brady, we also know I could be out of this by Halloween when I'm betting on the Pac-12 this heavily, but that's the state of predictions in the month of May.
Well, how about this? Can we get a futures bet on USC and Oregon playing in the Pac-12 championship game? Now that we've done away with divisions, I'm with you. That's surefire the bet to make right now as far as a futures bet. Lay some money on Southern Cal, Oregon playing for the Pac-12 championship. It's done. It's been decided here in May.
Sign me up. Hey, Brady, this was history. First time that you and Pate have been.
I've been waiting a long time for this. I think I gave him a hug in Ann Arbor. Is that when last time I saw you? One of those Big Ten destinations.
Yeah, and you did that just to stay warm because it was about 20 degrees that day, so I only halfway counted that.
We'll make it happen again.
All right. Josh Pate, thanks, man. Looking forward to the Late Kick podcast. So much to talk about. It's coming up tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. You can watch it live on YouTube and on Facebook. He'll have another episode on Sunday. It's 2 times a week this time of year. No off season in college football. No, sir.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.